And we are in for some exciting next steps here. We're going to move into our panels. Our first one will be led by Lindsey Listansky. She is fun and a powerhouse and knows her stuff. She is the Vice President for National Public Relations and Communications of Coldwell Banker. And she's got a guest who she'll tell you all about as we venture into a section on social media and use of video. Lindsay.
Thank you, Liz and Sue, for keying us up for today's event. You were both inspirational, and you are so inspirational to many as leaders in this industry. And again, congratulations, Sue, on your new role. We're all so very excited for you. Liz and Sue will be coming back to lead conversations about representation, mattering, and market updates. But first, we're going to tackle tips to leverage social media and video in your business. As Liz stated, social media is no longer a new concept. We've all tried it. We've been around, but it feels like it's evolving at a breakneck speed. So to help us navigate what this means for real estate agents, we have tapped one of Coldwell Banker's brightest stars from the DC market to share some of her best practices and tips for mastering social media and video for real estate business. Before I formally introduce her, I need to take a moment to recognize what a force in our industry is. Just a few of the many things you need to know about her. She's highly recognized and sought after residential commercial realtor and consistently ranks in the top 100 among agents within the Coldwell Banker 30 Mid-Atlantic region offices. And finally, in 2019, Erika was appointed by Mayor Muriel Bowser to the District of Columbia Real Estate Commission. I'd like to formally introduce all of you to the incredible Miss Erika S. Black. Erika, thank you for being here.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Lindsay. I appreciate the introduction. Thanks, ladies, for having me on. I'm enjoying it so far.
Awesome. Well, Erika, I talked a little bit about you. Do you mind telling the audience a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah, so I alwaways like sharing. I am originally from Rich Square, North Carolina. It's a 2-stoplight town, and it's really tiny. So to be here in the city is just such an amazing experience. And yeah, I just enjoy. I love what I do. This year I was also in the presidential circle. So that was exciting. So my business is really booming and growing, and I'm just happy to be here. So thanks for the opportunity.
Well, we are happy to have you here as well. And I've enjoyed all of our conversations leading up to today. So let's jump right in. We all know there are what feels like a million social media platforms, and it's sometimes hard to figure out, sometimes hard to jump into. How do you decide where to spend your time?
Well, I'm actually on all of the platforms. That's TikTok, that's Instagram, that's Facebook, Twitter, you name it, I'm on there. So I recommend to the ladies, even if you're not going to be fully active, just make sure you do the basics, like set up the account, put your picture there so that people know that you exist, right? So that's really, really important. But my favorite is Instagram. I really enjoy all of the pictures. I enjoy doing the stories, also the video. So I just love Instagram because it's so user-friendly.
I love that. Well, speaking about breaking through, I congratulate you for jumping into TikTok. I think it's one of the places that a lot of people are curious about. So way to jump in. That's awesome. But let's focus on your favorite, which is also one of my favorites as well, Instagram. You were sharing a little bit about your content strategy, and I thought it was really interesting. So a lot of people wonder, should I use stories? Should I use posts? Should I use both? So can you share with your audience? I love your rationale behind your strategy of how you tackle it.
Oh yeah, so I enjoy doing both. So typically if I do a post, I'll also do it in a story, but I'll just recently I've been putting this Superwoman thing, and I'll have the sparkles, and I just enjoy adding the music and just all the different graphics that you can add in the highlights and the stories. So what I would say, for anyone that's interested in just growing their content, of course, our company, if you're with CB, we have plenty of free content that is put out there all the time for us. So I enjoy using that. But when it comes to creating anything on my own, I enjoy using Canva. So I'll create something in Canva, I'll post it. And so it just keeps it really fun and keeps it interesting. And I like being really organic when it comes to posting. So for example, if anyone wants to follow me, my name is, of course, Erika S Black, and you can follow me on Instagram. Right, my husband decided he wanted to be sweet. So he bought me these flowers that are right here behind.
I meant to comment, they're beautiful.
Thank you. So that's been genuine. That's been organic, because I know a lot of agents is just, hey, house here, house. Okay, yes, we sell houses, but the world also wants to know more about you. You know, what type of person are you? What type of things do you like? Okay, do you have a dog? Sue says she's running all these miles. I also enjoy running. So I'll post, I'll post like my different hiking trails and just all of those things. Just keep things interesting and keep people intrigued about you, so that they'll be wanting to use you. Like, you don't just sell real estate. There's more to you as an individual.
So you said a lot of great things there. I want to recap a few things. Canva, also a huge fan of Canva. It's an awesome tool. Combining Canva and, for us at Coldwell Banker, BrandServe is like the greatest knockout punch for content. So love you using Canva. And I also think absolutely you shouldn't be all real estate all the time, right? It's really important to showcase your whole personality. And just also the thing that I loved about your strategy was really taking advantage of repurposing content. So introducing it in stories, but then following it up later, because we know it's gone in 24 hours. So I am definitely someone that's always scrolling at the top through stories. I don't normally get through posts, so you're hitting your audience on both sides. So I think that's really, really smart. So the theme of today is obviously breaking through barriers. As women, a lot of us are a little bit hesitant sometimes to get on camera. So I don't know what it was like for you with your journey, but was getting on camera, hearing your voice, seeing yourself, was that a barrier you had to break through? Was it an automatic, I'm really comfortable with this? How did you tackle that?
Yeah, so initially I just did the voiceovers, do the film and just add your voice behind it if you're shy. But another thing that I do, I just record my clients. So for example, I sent you some interesting footage that I've shared during COVID. So one of my clients, it was just, he was happy, he was excited about closing day, and he locked his keys in the car. Yes, that's embarrassing, but it's also funny. It's just the lightheartedness of real estate. So we have these bloopers, we have all these things that happen behind the scenes that we never share. So those are the type of things that I share. So I shared him like trying to get his keys out the car. I had a fishing rod in the back of my car. So my initial post was just him getting it out. But then when I put it in the highlights, I put like, hashtag girls fish too. And I gave him my fishing rod. So it was really cute. So it's just keeping it fun, keeping it interesting, just sharing different aspects of things.
I have to tell you, I watched that video a few times after you sent it. I think it's awesome. It was fun. It shows that you certainly go above and beyond for your clients. You're very resourceful, coming up with your fishing line in the back. I thought that was great. What else I love about your content strategy too, not only is it just really authentic to who you are, but you do a lot to keep top of mind awareness with people. So I think sometimes agents are so focused on the transaction, but I'm noticing a lot of your content not only focuses on before the sale, but remembering to stay top of mind after the sale, not only because we know people are, moving every 7 to 10 years, definitely more in your DC market. But can you talk a little bit about that? How do you find your inspiration for content to make sure you're top of mind when it's time to move, but also for referrals?
Yeah, so another thing that I do is when I'm out with my home inspector, I'm also a real estate investor. So one of my favorite parts of the process is the home inspection. So with the home inspection, I'll have my different inspectors to just go through and give me 30 seconds to a minute, like a tip of the day, like what do you recommend? So, it'll be something, sometimes it's just small things. Most people don't realize when it comes to the termite inspection, you might have gotten one when you purchased the home, but those things only last like 30, 45 days. I don't know. Most people don't realize that. So it is one thing that you should continually do. You should continually get your home inspected for termites. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that report is only 30 days.
That's so great. That's awesome. And it's a really good way to connect with your past clients and obviously future as well.
Yeah.
Your videos, some of them obviously you're on your phone. I'm curious about what your equipment setup's like. So I know there are plenty of things you can add on, like microphones and ring lights. So what does your equipment setup look like?
Yeah, so right now I'm using this ring light. I really enjoy it. It just, enhances the room. It just brightens things up. I also use it outside of social media. It's a tool that you can use when you're just, meeting with a client. Right now with COVID, we're having a lot of virtual meetings. So you want to show up and look your best. So it just enhances the conversation and just like let people really see you, and it's not dark. So I have this ring. In addition, on my laptop, I bought a webcam because the camera on my laptop is fine, but these webcams are HD 4K, and it's they have so
Very
many
fancy.
yeah, just they're just as advanced as our TVs. So I also purchased one of those. I had a selfie stick, but at the end of the day, Lindsay, guess what? Everything that you need for social media is on your cell phone. These cell phones are $1,000 or more, and I noticed that I'm an Android person. I have my Samsung Note, but they have a new Samsung that just came out, $2,500.
Oh my goodness.
$2,500 phone, trust me, you have everything you need and more. You don't have to purchase or buy anything else.
I agree. I just got the new iPhone 12 and I have to say my first selfie, I probably didn't realize how many wrinkles that I have in my forehead, but thank you to my phone for pointing that out because the quality is exceptional. So yes, I agree. We have amazing technology in our pocket, and I don't think that there's a huge need to add on. So I know that we're coming up on time. We have about 30 seconds left. Any last advice for people looking to break through in video?
Yeah, if you're looking to break through, I just say be who you are. I mean, it doesn't have to be to the point where you're posting every day, every second. Just go live when you feel like it and you're in the moment. Just be who you are. Be organic. If you're on that home inspection, take a couple of seconds and take it all in and share that with your crowd. Or if you're at a spectacular home, go ahead and showcase that. It's just do it. I would say just do it. Start where you find yourself and just do it. That's what I would say.
I love that advice. I think we sometimes hear consistency is key, but sometimes we hear it's crippling, right? And having to post a video every Wednesday or Friday, it can feel daunting, but I love your go with the flow. Your energy is contagious. Again, thank you for representing Coldwell Banker and us so well. I'm so appreciative of Leah Wright putting us in touch because I have a new industry best friend, and I'm just so happy to stay in touch with you now. So thank you for your time today. I learned a lot. I know our audience did as well, and I can't wait to talk to you again soon.
All right, talk to you soon. Thanks.
Thanks, Erika. All right, next up, we're gonna welcome back Liz Geringer to chat with Tina Marie Hernandez about a very important topic, why representation matters in real estate.
Thanks, Lindsay. Wow. Erika, oh my gosh, be who you are. So simple, but so sage. I absolutely love it. You definitely do that. Your authenticity is really inspiring. I'm excited to get acquainted with you here today. And Tina Marie, I'm happy to welcome her to our chat today. She is awesome. She is a new member of our Coldwell Banker family, but not new at all to real estate. Very successful. There she is. Very successful, very fabulous, 25 years in real estate. And she is the owner of Coldwell Banker Omni Group in Southern California. Hi.
Hi.
It's good to see you.
It's great to see you. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh my gosh, we always welcome you to our stages and conversations. It's great to see you. I want to talk a little bit about you before we dive into, we want to talk about diversity and inclusion a little bit, but I had such a great conversation with you over the weekend, and I've enjoyed getting to know you over time. And you are you're so full of life and you're so full of energy. And you're at this incredible point of success in your life. You have this really successful business, but I feel like you're just getting going. Like you don't seem at all like you're at the pinnacle of your career. You feel like you're like early chapters in. I mean, do you feel that way? Do you feel like you just have so much ahead of you?
I do. I think that, this is a new chapter, being Coldwell Banker. We kind of tore away some layers, and yes, we're kind of starting all over, but that's okay. I'm excited about it. It's a new treaded waters for me in the role that I'm at. So being able to switch that hat is pretty fun. So it makes it exciting.
Yeah, well, you are exciting, but you don't really limit yourself. One of the things I learned about you over the weekend, I was saying I think of you as such a people person. You know, you have a lot of charisma, you have a lot of success in your company, and you attract people to your company. That's who you are. So you're obviously a people person, like many people in this business. It's so important, but you're also kind of an idea guy. I realized in talking with you over the weekend, you're a total idea guy. And you do other things. Like you explained to me that real estate for you it's a path to do what you love. So I wanted to talk about that because it really captured
Right.
me. It captured me. So can we talk about that?
Yeah, I think that I do call myself I've got ideas for everything. So, just got to make them fit. And when I talk to people, kind of like what Sue was saying is like, let me see what people are doing and how we can help it. But, real estate isn't for everybody. Everybody doesn't love real estate the way I love real estate. And even that changes. I've been in the business for 30 years. So I was a lot more enthusiastic about one section of it that that now I'm in a different segment of it of Airbnbs and investments, and that excites me more than other parts of real estate. But more than anything, I like to see what people, when I'm interviewing agents, I get to know them a little bit better. And I'm like, I think we were speaking about one of our agents that, she is into fitness and she loves fitness, which is great. So at the end of the day, what she wants to do is she wants to own a gym. She wants to, be able to own a gym and have people go and do their fitness journey with her. And she's, we're teaching her how to use real estate to be that vehicle for the end, for her goal, for her passion, which is the gym. So she doesn't even have to, she doesn't have to rent a spot. We're going to show her how to get to real estate, own the building, and get her passion in there. So
yeah, real estate's an amazing career for that because it can open you up to do other things. It's not exactly,
yes,
it doesn't have to be what we see on the face of it. And
yep.
in that story there that you're sharing, you've also identified, you told me your husband is also, you work with your husband, he's also an owner of your company. And he actually, you said, does a lot of the recruiting for you, even though I'm sure you have, many people are interested in joining for both because of both of you. But you said he often recruits and then you actually find the strength of the person. You do a little, maybe even social media review, go deep in and
I
kind
do.
of find out the strengths. I love that.
Yeah, he was one time we were sitting down talking, and he was talking about the person he was talking to. And I'm one of those people, I'm just curious by nature. I want to know about people. I want to get connected with them. So I'm able to do that via Facebook and social media now. So, I'm like, oh, they have this or that. And he's like, oh, I didn't know that. I'm like, didn't you look at them on social media before you talk to them? And he's like, oh, I forgot to do that. So I sit and find what their interests are. I try to connect with them that way and see if there's any common ground, or just to be able to connect that way. I absolutely do use social media in a lot of different ways. So yeah,
I mean,
that's one of them.
it's great. I mean, you're finding strengths. You're sort of open to learning, open to being a student of all the people that join your organization, really figuring them out. And you actually described to me, that's a little bit how you view diversity, about how you grow your business and look for other perspectives, that you really consider yourself, you need to be open and
Absolutely.
learn as a student almost.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can't just think that my way is the only way, because I know that there's some, although I think I am all the time, but there's always different other ways, and I've got to learn other ways. And we are, in Orange County, California, it is a melting pot for all different kinds of, diversity. So being able to relate to whoever you walk in and speak with, you have to not only, I mean, okay, I don't know the language, but I at least need to know how to communicate effectively to them. And that word effectively is it's open for interpretation, because I may be thinking you're hearing me, but I'm not connecting with you on some level. And so to be able to understand that culture diversity as well, even if it doesn't make it up in my office right now, I have to, as a leader in this community, go and seek and learn that.
And I think you raised a point in there. This idea of representation is interesting to both of us because, you know, representation could just mean having an agent, or representation in my legal background can be having a lawyer, like we're, you know, but
Right.
representation, having a full representation of all types of people in your business, inside of your company and in your customer base. You know, we talked about the importance of that. And we talked about how it's not just math, you know, it's not just like a count, but it's making people feel included.
Yeah.
I love that sentiment. So can you talk a little bit about that? How you
Yeah,
accomplish
I think that, you know, it's one thing to have a conversation, you know, with somebody and say, oh, you know, we are a diverse company and we, you know, we cater to this and cater to that, you know, and we talk about, you know, I think the analogy that I gave you was, you know, women, we support women, we do all this for women, but there's no women's bathroom, you know, or there's nothing that makes them feel included. You know, it's one thing to be diverse, but there's inclusion. How are you making them feel a part of? You know, how is their way of thinking or their diverse need or segment being realized? That is really important because you don't, you know, it's to say one thing, but to walk the walk and talk the talk is another thing.
Yeah, I love how in this space and in talking about having a colorful company, bringing in people of color and bringing in perspectives, it's really critical to think about belonging and making people feel like
Yeah.
they belong.
I for myself, I'm a new grandma, you know, and so, and then another one over today, last night, I had a brand new baby. So, you know, our
Congrats.
family is growing, but even the diverse in that segment, you know, my agents know on Mondays and Wednesdays, I'm grandma. And it's nice to know that they respect that, you know, that they made a space in their life to be grandma. But I also, with that, I make myself available any day after that and any time after that. So, you know, that's being included. You know, me as a leader as well. It's nice to know that my agents do that as well on the reverse.
Yeah, well, we really appreciate everything you're doing. You are a superstar. Have you landed on a word that's inspiring you for 2021?
So Sue took all my words,
Does
but but you know, I would say, you know, move. You know, especially in 2020, we were stagnant. A lot of us, we were in our own head. We didn't move. We didn't think. We didn't, you know, we were scared. You know, stop. So you know, I think that I remember that when, you know, I take my walks and I see water running and it's just full of life when it's just moving and it's rowing. And I think I'm going to be 50 years old this year. And to think that I have the ability to move and do something with the talents and the, you know, the people around me, the tools that I have, the connections that I make, and it's up to me to move forward and take those initiatives, you know, pick up the phone and call people and to do that. So I think my word would probably to just move.
I love it. And that's almost poetic. It's really actually a pretty beautiful word. So I may steal that one. Thank you so much for your time. I think it's a perfect time to head back to Sue so that she can introduce us to our next guest and give us an update on what to expect in the market this year. But thank you. It's great to see you.
Thanks.
Sue, back to you.
Hey there. So I am here and trying to get my video working. I think the host has stopped it, so somebody has to start my video for me. But I'm here, Liz.
Awesome. I'll keep smiling, Sue.
There you go. Just don't, it's not awkward. Just, you know, we'll just smile away. What did we say? We like people to just pull us back when we're going off the rails. So
you are.
Great conversation. Thank you so much. And I love the nugget on, you know, making space comfortable. You know, it's all about being, you know, making where we work and our offices and our environment safe space for people to be themselves, no matter who they are or what they bring to the table. So I love that from Tina Marie. So thank you so much. I am so excited today to introduce our next speaker. Leslie Appleton Young. She is the former chief economist for the California Association of Realtors. We're going to talk to her about the market last year, this year, what we're seeing. She is also the co-creator of Woman Up, California Association of Realtors initiative, which was designed to kind of close the gender gap in the leadership of real estate firms. Many in our community here at What Moves Her are part of the Woman Up community as well. And I've had a tremendous time getting to know Leslie and the entire team there. Leslie is so passionate about empowering women to see their potential and all of the possibilities, even when they can't see them themselves. So Leslie, are you with us? Can you, I don't see you.
I hope I am. I think I am.
It's so great to see you.
It's great to see you too, Sue. I know, I do too. I think we all do. It's a loss, but you know, hopefully later this year. We never know.
Yeah, it's in the long run there's some silver linings in there we can talk about as well, right? With family and friends and connection and stuff in the midst of a very, very difficult time for so many. But you know, Leslie, do you want to just give everyone, I think many know you, but for those that don't, a little bit of the background on your path in our industry?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Hi, everyone. I started working at the California Association of Realtors in 1984. I came back with a graduate degree in economics from Penn, and I'd done some work, done a little consulting. I worked at the Federal Reserve Bank of Philadelphia, and I started as a research analyst at CAR, and it essentially turned into a almost 37-year career. So I have been involved in strategic planning. I've been involved with our broker outreach. I've given so many speeches, and everyone's been a learning experience. And I just feel like I've been around a long time and have such an appreciation, as some of the earlier speakers did, for this industry where everyone wakes up every morning unemployed and just makes it happen. And it's very, very inspiring. And add to that the benefits of homeownership, and it's just a perfect recipe there.
It sure is. Well, Leslie, I think you are such an inspiration to so many. And, you know, we talk about, Liz and I talked a little bit about, you know, sort of breakthroughs and this whole breakthrough summit. You know, you've been a trailblazer in our industry for women, and really just, you know, even forget the gender gaps, right? Just in the industry. And I think, you know, I've loved getting to know you. I think the audience will certainly enjoy getting to know you. And I do want to save some space for the Woman Up conversation and understanding sort of where the impetus for that was. But, you know, focusing on the market and the industry and the economy, you know, have you ever in your 30 plus years seen anything like the market we experienced in 2020?
Absolutely never. And certainly the comparisons are back to the Great Recession in 2006, 7, 8, 9. And this was completely different because we went into 2020 and it was a great year in January and February for real estate. And by the middle of March, when everything shut down, real estate shut down. And I think, and I'll include myself, we all kind of overreacted given what happened, right? Because you had, you know, the biggest decline in GDP ever in the second quarter, and whole swaths of the market, the economy, were shut down. But then all of a sudden, you know, we got real estate in many areas, certainly in California, an essential service, and we were able to go forward with this ability to meet the just mushrooming demand that people had for different types of housing. And it was fed by these record historically low mortgage rates. So it would have been, I think, impossible to have predicted this as we went into 2020. I've never seen anything like it. And I think as we go into 2021 here, from the perspective of January, we are in for another very, very strong year in existing single family home sales.
That's great. And I'd love to talk a little bit about that. So for sure, we saw, and we did, right? The spring of 2020 was, you know, March. Nobody would have predicted this sort of explosion that we've seen through the balance of the year. And there are certainly some trends, and maybe they're more than trends at this point, you know, some things that are fueling that from a macro perspective. So let's bring it up to that a little bit. What are you seeing that gives you, that feeling of momentum that's going to continue into 2021 based on some of those macro trends you've seen?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're really pretty assured a very low rate environment for the next year or two. I think Powell has been signaling that to the markets for quite some time. And you have the new Treasury Secretary who is very much focused on getting this economy that came roaring back in segments, right? It was a strong semi-recovery because we still have areas that are lagging. So you're going to continue to see this push for more recovery funds, more relief funds, and more stimulus. And I think that is, that means low rates. And we certainly haven't seen much response in terms of inflation. On the other hand, I think you've heard the term the K-shaped recovery. And that is, there are people that are doing really well, maybe even better than they were before the pandemic. And these are the people that are driving the housing market right now. The signs of stress have definitely been in the moderate and lower wage segments of the economy, people in hospitality and restaurants and so on, where there's a very high touch element. So that dichotomy has really protected real estate a little bit. I think you also have things like expectations of the stock market. The stock market had an unbelievable year. People betting there's going to be a correction. Let's get into a real asset. Housing looks good. And then this whole work from home thing, which has created, I need 2 home offices. I can actually buy a home in Lake Tahoe or in Idaho or in Utah and keep my job, right? So people taking advantage of that, needing homes that incorporate multi-generational families, children being taught at home. So you know the song. I mean, it's really just been an incredible, perfect storm of support and strength for the real estate market this year.
Yeah, it really is incredible to see. And when you think about the societal shifts, you think about people being able to work from home. I mean, I sort of anecdotally laugh. I'm in a house 8 years. We built it. I had no issue with it, but I wasn't here by and large for 10 years or 8 years. And now that I'm here, I'm like, oh, this doesn't really work for me anymore, So there's
Right.
sort of that reframing of what you want and what you need. If you're in that ability to take advantage of the market. And one of the things that I'm hearing and I'm seeing a little bit is this supply issue, this impact of supply. Demand is still very much there. When you talk inventory and supply, what are your thoughts on that? Is that a dark spot out there potentially? Is it not? What are your thoughts on even loosening up? It's funny. I'm looking for a house. And I won't name my realtor on the phone on this call, but she's one of ours. And she said nobody's putting their house on the market because they can't find anywhere to go. And so there's a little bit of that. Any thoughts on that, just as people are thinking through 2021 and business planning and this momentum, what that may be?
Well, I think in terms of new construction, we're actually doing a little bit better. We were 7% above 2019 in terms of housing starts in the economy in 2020. So that not only is great for housing, but it stimulates jobs and all of the wonderful multiplier effect. The problem is we're in such a big deficit that it's going to take years of growth like that in order to provide that housing. And so what you have, and I really think the most important trend to be aware of right now in terms of the macro stuff that you're talking about, is really the migration issues and how people are moving from California and New York, and they're moving to areas that have lower cost housing and a higher quality of life. And maybe the weather isn't quite what they're looking for, but they're willing to make those trade-offs now. So I think you're seeing this even out, right? And that's how equilibrium works, right? As people make different choices based on the market signals that they're getting. NAR came out with in the last couple of weeks that the top 10 areas in the country that have done the best in 2020 and are poised to do even better. And when you look at them, first of all, they're all in different states, and none of them are New York and California. You know, it's Atlanta and Boise and Provo and Spokane and Des Moines and Indianapolis. So I think that's really the theme going forward. And so for anyone in Coldwell Banker, you know, you need to really take advantage of this built-in relocation network that you have to be aware of what that looks like and how to tap into the needs of your clients, because it's going to continue to grow, in my estimation, these movements, this recalibration, if you will.
Yeah, it's a great point, and the importance for agents to be educated on the migration patterns that are occurring within their own communities, right? And to your point, they're different than they were, you know, pre-pandemic. We're seeing movement in and out of different markets, so it's not just New York, New Jersey to Florida. While that's occurring in mass, it's happening to other markets as well. Do you have any tips for anyone who's on the call now, how to sort of get more insight into that or understand their local markets from an economic perspective for their business? Any tips that sort of we're running out of time. I could talk to you forever.
I know. Well, just to go back to some of the points that Erika was making, I mean, be authentic and be yourself. So if you're kind of a data nerd and you really like this stuff, you ought to be reading the Wall Street Journal like every single day, right? And there's really great stuff in it, but it'll really keep you on top of some of the key things. But if it's not your thing, I'm really big into time blocking. A little bit of time every week. Just Google your city and see what's happening. The Chamber of Commerce, the Census Bureau, the MLS. You know, there's always some good data points. And what you want to do is leverage that information in social media. You know, you want to be the expert. You want to be a leader in knowing what's going on, because people value that information. So there's no excuse to not be informed today. I think you just have to figure out how much of that is really going to be useful for you in your marketplace and the clients that you are dealing with.
I love it, Leslie. As always, I could talk to you forever. You are just a wealth of knowledge and able to articulate some of the macroeconomic and big economic things in a way that really break down to help individuals in their business and things that I think they can utilize going forward to plan for 2021 and beyond, right? Being that local expert and evolving what you need to know in today's business to build that plan and be important for your, an important resource for your customers. So thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and thank you for all of the work with you and the team to advance and empower women in our industry as well. It is wonderful. We appreciate you. Thanks for joining us today.
Anytime. Thanks.
And with that, it is time to turn it back over to Lindsay Listansky to tap into our audience knowledge. So let's get into our networking session. Thanks, Lindsay.
Awesome, Sue, that was amazing. Very much like you, where you could talk to Leslie forever. I could listen to her forever. I mean, my heart was singing between hearing about how great the industry is doing, where it's going, listening to her empower women, talking about the Wall Street Journal as a PR woman. That made my heart sing. So Leslie, thank you for all that you brought today to today's event. You are incredible. Sue, you did a great job with her, so thank you. All right, we have hundreds of individuals. I was gonna say from the country, but I know we at least have Aylin in from Turkey. So I'm saying from around the world. We have women who are powerful from around the world online with us right now. And we thought it would be amiss if we didn't carve out some time for networking. So we're gonna take 15 minutes for a quick lightning round in small groups. You're gonna be randomly assigned to a breakout room, and our technical wizards, who we should all be shouting out, who've done amazing already today, thank you guys, will move you into that room. So no need to do anything. One thing, actually, I kind of lied, is you do have to turn on your camera. We want to see your faces. So if your camera is off, please turn it on. Once there, you're going to be met with attendees and a group moderator. And that's your time to share your information, interesting facts from the sessions. If you have a question, I know a lot of people have a lot of interest in like Clubhouse right now. Everybody's kind of looking for passes to get in. So if that's a question, you could bring that up. Last, we're going to charge each group to come up with one word or phrase that you're going to use this year. We've heard Sue and some others. My word is energized, which may feel silly as a new mom of twins, but I'm thinking if you could dream it, you can do it. So I'm going to put it out there and hope that I feel energized and then I can give that energy to my team, my family, those around you. So please think about your word. Once the 15 minutes is done, our technical wizards will come back and put you into the main room. And I just want to note, you're not going to want to miss our last speakers. After the breakout session is over, we're going to be pushed back into the main room. And this is where you're going to be joined by team members of the incredible Jill Zeter Group, who, get this in case you haven't heard, just broke $1 billion in sales in 1 year. $1 billion, that's absolutely unbelievable. So you're going to hear from that powerhouse team. But for now, we're going to get into our breakouts. So be prepared to share your insight and most of all, of course, have fun.
Hello there, Lindsay.
Hello there, Leah. Fancy seeing you here.
I know, it's so nice to see your face. So we are going into breakout rooms for those of us that are in Zoom, and I think we have a couple more people here with us, but we have hundreds of participants on the other side that are seeing this event via Teams. So we wanted to also engage with them on that side as well, to participate in the Teams chat, to share some things. So some things that we'd love for you to share is where you're joining us from, because we know that within Zoom, as Lindsay said, we have people from all over the world. I saw Miami, Pittsburgh, I'm from Pennsylvania. Lindsay, you're in
New Jersey.
We have.
Can you tell from my very beautiful New Jersey accent, Leah?
Yes, you do a good job kind of covering it up, but the big earrings might have given it away as well.
Oh, I should have worn my poof, you know, from back in my Jersey Shore days.
Yeah. Once a Jersey girl, always a Jersey girl. I love that. Sticking to being authentic, right, is something that we heard throughout this event. Authenticity. Leslie calling herself a data nerd, which I loved. I'm a nerd myself, a Star Wars nerd, sports nerd, not a data nerd so much. I like the written word more than I like data. But we want you to go ahead and share where you're from, key points that you've been taking away from today's event, things that you're seeing in the market, which we could talk about for a really long time, and then also what your word of 2021 is. So you had just said it, but what is your word again?
Mine is energized. I feel like it's a new year. I spent a lot of last year out on maternity leave, which was amazing. I got to be with my twin boys, which can drain energy, but I'm feeling like new year, I have a lot of energy to bring to the table personally and professionally, and that's what I'm sticking with.
Well, I think we can all feel that at any time we get the opportunity to talk with you. And I loved Sue's word, which was evolve, which I thought was very fitting in her new role, but also for all of us to evolve from what we learned in 2020 and then put that to good use for 2021.
Definitely. And can we just talk about her running 2,000 miles? I mean, she's a time lord. She's an amazing mom, a power leader, and then runs 2,000 miles.
Well, and then she was like, oh, that equates to, I was expecting her to say like a half a mile a day. Again, data, not my thing. And she's like 5.5 miles a day, which is insane.
It's insane.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I'm lucky to do that in 1 week, which is still a really good goal to have. And I actually have a similar goal to start running again, because it is a nice way to kind of clear your mind. And I loved what Liz had said about someone that emulated their commute.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends who are big podcast listeners. If you have a real estate podcast or any podcast that you love listening to, and you could leave that in the chat, I think we could all benefit from that. But what a lot of people are saying is they're missing that commute time where they're in the car. Obviously in real estate agents have that benefit of always being on the move. My mom is an agent and I can't imagine how many miles are on her car just this year. But you're losing that time to listen to podcasts. So again, if anybody has any suggestions that they love, I would love to have those in the comments for sure.
And speaking of podcasts and that like very idea of separating like work and life, we have a podcast, the CB Women podcast, and there's a lot of like great content that's, you know, from the archives, if you will, but there is a great interview with a wonderful woman leader, Jamie Duran, who is president of the Southern California company. And she shared that she did do this driveway dump where she would sit in her car and kind of like recalibrate her mind to be in like mom and wife mode. And I have been working from home for about 4 years now. And I realized I never had that. Like I go from my desk, then right to being a mom and vice versa. And so it's been something that I'm working on as well. So if anyone has really good tips to like how to do that while you're especially at home, I will eat them all up.
Yeah, I definitely would welcome those tips as well. Liz is one of my mentors on this. One of the things that right before I went on maternity leave, she said is my best piece of advice is give yourself grace. And I've kept that in my heart whenever I'm feeling like, oh, I'm off balance. I'm either, you know, absent present where my son comes in and I'm like, I'm on a phone call or, you know, when I'm all caught up. So giving myself grace has definitely been something that I'm eternally grateful for to Liz. That was a great tip from her.
Yeah, something that I've heard from Sue before is women, we get asked like, how do we balance it all? And Sue has laughed at that question when she's got it on like previous events and said like, there's no such thing as like living like a perfectly balanced life and accepting that things are sometimes, you know, we spend more time at work than life and vice versa, which I also think is part of giving ourselves grace and understanding that sometimes we live just like perfectly imperfect lives. And it's a
Totally. One of my husband rarely takes pictures of me. I'm one of those moms that like actually doesn't exist usually unless I demand a picture being taken, but there's many of them obviously. But one of my most favorite pictures is my son literally standing on my back while I'm working. He's balancing between the couch and my back, like almost upside down like an acrobat, and I'm working on my computer. And to me, like that's my work-life balance. I bring all of me to work as a mom and as a colleague, and I just, it's one of my, I have it framed on my desk because it's one of my favorite pictures.
I love that. I love that. We are getting some words back.
Oh, what are they?
I do want to just take a moment to remind everyone to like stay with us because in about 10 minutes now, we're going to have the best ending to the show, which as you had teed up is the Jill's Zeter group, and talk about balance. They're coming from all over the place. I think Judy and Jill Eber are coming from a TV filming that literally just ended because I was getting text messages that they're
awesome.
Back to their house. So believe us that you're not going to want to miss it. So stick with us. But one of the words that is coming in from someone in Chicago, hi from, you know, in Chi-town, is adapt, which I like. It's kind of with the evolve, so adaptation.
Definitely.
Else wrote focus.
That's a good one. I do enjoy what Teams does. We're very lucky that at Coldwell Banker we have Teams. I know Ryan Gorman really pushed for that. And during the pandemic, I don't know what we would have done without that, but the focus feature has been my best friend. It's definitely something that I love, but focus is certainly an important one for sure.
So tell us what the focus is.
On our computer?
Yeah.
Oh, well, there's this whole system where it kind of like checks into your work well-being, and it assesses how much of your time is in meetings versus not, how responsive you are to emails, how many hours outside of like normal working hours you're working. And it'll do this whole assessment every week, which sometimes makes my blood pressure go up a little bit, but that's okay. But it suggests time to focus. So it'll basically like take over your computer, hide everything, and make sure you're focused on your task. it will help you to block out. Blocking came up before. I think Leslie was the one talking about blocking out time on your calendar, but it will block time on your calendar to really make you focus on whatever that task is. So I have loved being able to leverage that, and it's really helped me to really focus when I need it the most.
That's a great pro tip that I'm going to have to implement. My husband actually got me a Apple Watch for Christmas, something that I didn't know that I needed, but it reminds you to breathe.
It does.
Which is hysterical.
I need it most.
Yeah, and it'll be like, take 30 seconds, and it actually gives you the prompts to slow down and do deep breaths.
Yes.
And so now I just need someone to remind me to drink more water and force me to work out in the morning. My word is rise, and just elevate to goals that I've set for myself, but just literally, like, there are times where I'm like, oh, I don't want to do that, right? So just rising to the occasion. And then yesterday, that word was used a lot by I don't know if you got an opportunity to watch the inaugural poet speaking of amazing women.
Yes. Amazing. I cried a lot yesterday. I have to be honest. There was a lot of tears. That was very moving.
So I watched her this morning on Good Morning America, and she shared that she used to have a speech impediment where she couldn't say R's, which is very close to my heart, speaking of having accents, because I can't say my R's, never have been able to. And my grandfather used to joke that I inherited his Boston accent. I've never lived in Boston, but I have a little bit of that park your car in Harvard Yard type.
Yeah. Ronnie would be very proud of you right now.
Yeah. Well, you're welcome, Ronnie. But she was sharing, Amanda, the poet, that she couldn't say R's. And so 2 or 3 years ago, she would not have been able to give that speech because
wow.
The words, and her last name, I believe, is Gorman, a nod to our leader, but she couldn't say her last name.
That's so interesting. Yeah, she stole the show. She was incredible for sure.
Yeah.
So Leah, I can't see anything in the chat. Hopefully you can. I want to make sure that if we're able to see anything. I know you got some of the words, but I want to make sure.
Yes, so I'm getting words from teams, from the wonderful Caitlin on our events team that is helping to moderate on that side.
Great.
I can put them in chat here as well so we can all see them.
Fabulous. Yeah, about flowing when I was up before, but I'm like, I want to hear from our friends from around the world.
Although we have a couple minutes left, not many, but why don't we give a quick plug for Clubhouse, since you had brought it up a couple of times.
Yes. So everyone's talking about Clubhouse, it feels, right? And we talked about it with Erika before. Social media is evolving, what feels like daily. So Clubhouse, for those who don't know, and I have some invites, so if you need one, feel free to email me. I think I have like 2 left, or tweet to me. So Clubhouse is, the way I explain it is if a podcast and a Zoom call had a baby. So it's an interactive stage where it's audio only, you're not on camera. There are moderators at the front of the stage that they call it, and you can basically bring up guests. There's all these different subgroups based on interest. So there's women in real estate, there's general real estate, but really pretty much anything you can imagine, entertainment, fitness. I have gotten sucked into the Shark Tank or pitch tanks where you can sit in, there's live investors, and you basically get called up on stage and you pitch your idea and people are getting ideas back. There's great entrepreneur classes. I spent a little bit of time in a commercial real estate group for women the other day. So really, really cool that there's all these different ways to use it. But it's invite only, it's just rolling out. I don't know if people remember Voxer from a long time ago, where you had groups where you could kind of talk to each other through a walkie-talkie. Has a little bit of Voxer vibes, but I've really been enjoying it. We sampled it for a little while this week with Coldwell Banker, and we're gonna do it again today. So we're gonna have a CB Women and What Moves Her Clubhouse. I think at 4:30 Eastern, am I right, Leah?
Yes, 4:30.
Cool, so we'll do it again. We welcome everyone to join us there. If you haven't tried it, it's a safe space. We all talk about how silly we feel the first, 5 minutes we're on the app, because I was very paranoid that people could or could not hear me. I wasn't really sure. So come join us. I see some of the words that you're putting in. Persistence, absolutely. I think positive, I want to change to positive. That's a really good one too.
Mm-hmm. Someone has joy, determined. Then we have a question from Northern Illinois who had said that data overwhelms them. And There's so much to learn. And any suggestions for like liking data?
Oh, I love data. I love data because I like to feel like my strategy is half of, you know, what I think and half of what I know, right? It's like your right side and left side, you're creative and you're kind of like mathematical side. I am terrible at math, by the way, like really, really bad at it. But I love going into a meeting, and this could be for a listing appointment if you're an agent, and really having data in your back pocket. So I think that if I was an agent, I would always have, you know, comparing my performance to those around me. So you know what, going in with my time on market compared to, you know, the standard, or my average sales price compared, like that type of data where you can show you really standing out, and just instead of saying like, I'm number one. Because I think in real estate, everybody's number one, right? I'm the number one, I'm the number one. And in some cases, like the Jills who we're gonna talk to, like you're actually the number one. The data to showcase why is so, so powerful. And you can't, you know, just like math just works, you can't argue with data. And it's something that really, anything you're bringing to the table, so much stronger.
And that's interesting because someone here in our chat earlier, when Tina Marie was talking, had said that they were a new agent and they felt intimidated, and how to overcome that feeling of intimidation. And I think data really helps that, right?
Definitely.
Because you're able to be comfortable and know for a fact that you're giving your buyer, your seller, the best information, and you can be confident in that.
Totally. I mean, I started my career at Coldwell Banker as a social media manager in 2011. And I remember one of the first things I started talking about when I was teaching agents how to use it was, don't tell someone that you're just going to put their listing on Facebook. What does that mean? What is the tangible value of that? Does it mean you're going to get them, you know, 100,000 views on a video? Or are you giving them a one document spreadsheet saying, okay, so your house has been listed for 2 weeks. It's gotten this many views, this many clicks, this many leads, and it hasn't sold still. So maybe now is the time to reduce the price. Instead of saying, I've had your house on social media for 2 weeks, we should probably drop the price. Like that data is the right time to bring it in to say, like, here are the numbers, let's sit together. And you know what, maybe now is the right time to do that. Is when data becomes your absolute best friend. And it's something that you have to kind of walk away from.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're being joined back by the participants that were in breakout sessions in Zoom.
Fabulous.
So to our team's friends, thanks for sticking with us.
Yes.
And someone, by the way, in Teams said that their word is unmute. I'm going to unpack that for a little bit because there's so many meanings behind that.
Got it.
I think you're muted. Unmute yourself, Lindsay. But all right, I think we have a video to share here in a moment. So Lindsay and I are going to go on mute.